players get into this moment, they go, oh, I've already made it so far, I've exceeded my expectations. Panic, freeze up. And that is because this man, of course, intimidates such fear, inspires such fear in his opponents. Down here in the bottom left-hand side in the blue, representing Legacy, it's Probe.
And in the top right here, the challenger, the young buck. Can he get it done? This is StarDuck. Represented, of course, by the Cranky Ducklings, streaming team, Twitch channel, and apparently an esports team as well.
And the Probes are going to just bump noses in the middle of the map and then continue on across the map. It's going to be high ground gateways for both players. No one rushing out and expand just yet. StarDuck checks for a cannon rush on his low ground before dropping a second gateway, but all standard. It's definitely looking rather normal. Both of them kind of double chronoing their probes. And StarDuck going to get busy trying to harass those minerals. Probe immediately respects it, as does StarDuck. Both of them chasing the opponent's probe straight away.
Yeah, very mirrored on both sides of the field at the moment. It is the most stock of standard ho-hum PvP openers from both these players. So seeing how, the one thing I'm noticing here in the cams is how stoic Probe is and how StarDuck's kind of bouncing around a little bit.
Definitely interesting, to see where the tech goes. So just waiting for that Cyber Core to finish, as that'll reveal a bit. So far, neither player's hidden a probe, so there's no sneaky third pylons. They're both just going to drop it on the low ground by the looks of it and continue into their tech. And it is double Stalker for Probe to begin. Now, sometimes as the veteran, as the favorite, you come out and you just, hit a stiff all-in game one to catch off the player who you think might just be a bit greedy versus you. And StarDuck going Sentry Stalker, it definitely looks like he's going in that more economic variant. So this is Probe's idea. So if he keeps up the Stalker production, there's a chance he goes across and hits some sort of attack.
Probe is actually getting his natural blocked a little bit there by the pylon of StarDuck, but not really concerned about it. His Stalkers are more concerned about getting across the map and trying to slow down this Nexus of StarDuck. Or actually, no, he comes back and engages the pylon, decides against it. All right. So we're going to have a bit of a slower opening here from both players.
Straight to 4 Stalkers, 4 Probes. So I've definitely got my eyes on it. Is he going to go to 5 and 6? There's no forward pylon since StarDuck did catch his probe. And he was doing the 3-gate robo that's kind of come back in fashion recently. I think he would have already gone for it. So for Probe, it's just straight to 6 gateway units before Nexus. So he's going to do a 4 Stalker pressure and then just go for the expansion, the macro, the scouting behind it.
Hallucinated Phoenix on the way here from StarDuck to go to Probe's side of the map to see what's up. The 4 Stalkers are trying to sort of circumnavigate the scouting of StarDuck and surprise him with an attack, but I think when that Phoenix flies over the natural and sees nothing there, StarDuck is going to pick up what's getting put down here from Probe and realize that, oh, okay, time to have a look at home and make sure that my ducks are in a row. Pun not intended.
Oh, his Stalker's up in the main right now. Both of his Stalkers are, so he doesn't have a lot of damage, but that Stalker will pop out near the front. Going to be able to start fighting those Stalkers off. And you want to try and focus fire them if you can, because that shield battery is already almost out of juice.
Yeah, that shield battery has been healing up these sentries. Force field's coming down from StarDuck to try and scoop in a Stalker kill. Doesn't quite get it there. Good recovery from Probe.
The Forge goes down for Probe behind this, but I think a really good defense. StarDuck has got his Nexus up a little bit faster, starts the double Probe production. And, of course, the double worker production, so we don't get too confusing. Probe, on the other hand, is going to send 2 Adepts across the map here. Going to look for a little bit of damage. And I would say StarDuck has a very slight edge so far in this game.
Yeah, I got to say that was a really solid defense. When I see 4 sentries going up against 4 Stalkers, I'm very worried for the guy with the sentries. But, yeah, the shield battery made a big difference there. Those force fields were pretty good as well. And he got himself out of there without taking much damage at all. So scout from Probe to see what his opponent's up to, and it is pretty similar on both sides, both of them going to Blink, both of them going Forge and upgrades, but the Robo a little bit quicker here for StarDuck, whereas Probe's still just on Gateway Tech.
Oh, Force Field to split the Adepts, but one of those is on the far side, so a couple of Probes will go down here. Makes it 3 in total for 2 Adepts. Not the most impactful thing, but does allow Probe to take the worker lead for the first time in the series as he drops his own Robo and 3rd and 4th Gateway. And we're going into an admirable, honorable, gentleman's match here. I'll take a 3rd base and go Blink Stalkers, and you shall too, and we'll meet in the mid-ground with many Blink Stalkers and microverse each other.
That's right, everyone adjusts their lapels and sits their monocles outside of their eye sockets, ready to play a gentleman's PvP here. No one's hiding pylons in the corner of the map. No hidden dark shrines. No fast robo bays. No warp prisms. It's just a very stock standard 3-base PvP at the moment.
Third Nexus a little slower for Probe, but he's up 4 workers right now, so he's looking quite clean in that regard. StarDuck opting for the early Immortal production, and I think Immortals are very powerful, but if someone is a little too defensive and they build like 2-3 Immortals, you can catch them out with just a pure Stalker plus charge lot timing attack. The Zealots, of course, soaking up those Immortal shots very well, but StarDuck for now, just a single Immortal. Both players working their way forwards. It looks like StarDuck finally going to work his way across the map here. Look for a poke on that third, but I believe there's already one shield battery ready.
Does seem like it there. Third base from Probe. It does seem to be the target here from StarDuck, who does have an Immortal in his army. Big blink forward. Probe wanting to engage early here. Extremely decisive maneuver, but getting punished for it a little bit. Shaving off a few Stalkers is StarDuck, and his Immortal is still very healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that was trying to intimidate StarDuck almost to just immediately fall back, and it did not work out at all. That Immortal is adding such damage right now. Wow, he does take out the Immortal, and now that the shield battery is done, StarDuck's got to get the heck out of there. He does not have a Warp Prism here on the front. And one lone Stalker rallies in, says he wants to play with the big kids.
Yeah, he's like, no, I don't. I want to go back home, Mom! Oh, man, that thing nearly got killed there. Really got beaten up at that third base from Probe. It was lucky to escape with its life, to be honest. It's one shot. But yeah, a bit of a misrally there from StarDuck. A bit of a scary-looking attack on paper, but on execution, didn't do as much as I thought it did. And Probe just seemed to read that like a book. He's like, oh, no, I got this. And he was completely right. The Invisible Man Clubhouse being built in the main mineral line here from StarDuck.
Yeah, StarDuck's been using mid-game DTs really well. Mixed into his play, does some flexible harassment and all the rest. Oh, he misses the Observer there. I mean, he sees it, but he's not moved his Stalkers to kill it, which is a bit of a missed opportunity.
Here we go.
And Probe also spotted it, was bringing his Stalkers forward, but StarDuck is the first one to bite. Now, StarDuck adding a lot of Stalkers and Zealots. He's down about 9 workers right now, but he's set up to take a 4th base. So StarDuck, you might be like, well, he's down like 9 probes. That's a lot. Remember that their main bases will be like half mining out in the near future.
Yep.
So StarDuck, he's a little down on probes, but with that quick 4th base, he can just build 10, 12 probes, and bam, his economy is going to be looking really good very quickly.
So the positioning of that Dark Shrine from StarDuck extremely deliberate here to try and hopefully, if Probe's being a little bit lazy with his scouting, just assume that it's a shield battery or a cannon in the mineral line because it has the same footprint, but it is a Dark Shrine. And Probe did notice that. He is getting cannons in all of his mineral lines at the moment. So he's realized what it is and is adjusting accordingly. He's going into Robo base, second Robo, charge about to finish. Now, StarDuck had a bit of a earlier head start on charge, but hasn't really capitalized on it by using that advantage of his Zealots having charge over Probes. So it's going to be a very similar upgrades for both players. They're both going to have +2. They're both going to have charge. But I feel like you give Probe another minute and a half, I feel like his army's going to be way better than StarDuck's. He's got a head start on the Templar Archon tech as well.
Yeah, and they're more efficient Archons as well, right, Maynard? They're high Templar Archons, so yeah, they're very gas heavy, but he's already got the gases up on his third. StarDuck hasn't even started this. StarDuck's playing a pure Zealot Stalker game with just one Immortal in there right now. And this 4th base going up for Probe. Probe's got the Disruptor tech started. He hasn't started building any just yet as StarDuck crashes into this 4th base. Wants to stop it going up before the shield batteries are ready.
Oh, Probe is just, he's meeting this without a flinch at the moment. That Archon did so much work. Took a long time for it to take any damage. The overcharged shield battery there actually being used on the cannon dealing with the DTs. Didn't even use the overcharged shield battery to defend the actual army fighting at that third Nexus. Absolutely massive. And Probe holds on without taking too much and actually has a better trade there against StarDuck's army, closing that supply gap.
I mean, this is Probe's specialty in the region, is he's so comfortable pulling into his turtle shell, just holding up his shield and letting his opponent kind of gas out, beating away at him, trying to take him down. Probe is just going to the next step. Very few players are this comfortable with this little map control, but we've seen it throughout this series, just sending out little Zealot spotters, occasionally poking around. And the thing is, he's maintained a worker advantage. His 4th base is established. He's got cannons and batteries everywhere. DTs in the main might cause a bit of a ruckus, though. Yeah,
they're going to go for the pylon here, so not going for probes does mean they're going to take a little while to get some damage done, but they are going to depower 5 gateways there, not the Robo, which has an Observer, so that's good news for Probe. He's going to get rid of these DTs. Weather Prism not going to come back and pick him up. All right, well, the DTs are toast. Big attack here at the third Nexus. Probe, army just in position now, bringing in that Archon. I can't believe he's only got the 1, but he's got these Disruptors, and that makes a big difference here.
Yep, having a set of those Purification Novas available, definitely something that StarDuck has to respect. And To me, it feels like StarDuck has to get disruptors of his own. If he gets disruptors of his own, this map control is worth a lot. It's really huge, but right now, StarDuck, he's not got the gas, and there we go. 3 gas guys, a second Robo-Bait, and a 5th base.
Yeah.
StarDuck wants to maintain that economy advantage. He's still going for the warp-ins in the main, just Zealots this time around, trying to depower that. The Prism actually stays alive, so well microed.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate blink there from Probe. He tried to jump on top of the Warp Prism, but his own SimCity kind of bungled that. StarDuck is going to get a pylon. Oh, never mind. He loses 4 Zealots for not a whole lot at all. He's trying to open up the map on the right side. Very charged, a lot Stalker-heavy army there for StarDuck, but the technology in Probe's army, the smattering of the Archon, the Disruptors, is going to make things very tough for StarDuck to win fights. And oh, he's blocked on 148 as well. A macro mistake from StarDuck as he starts the rest of his pylons, and Probe similar as well, but at least he's still got production in lined up. Yeah, StarDuck wants to be making Disruptors right now.
He's done a great job of just controlling the map, though. He really has, but he's got to be careful. I think Probe, yeah, he's going to venture out here, and the Disruptors, of course, something you got to back away from. I think Probe might be able to actually move out and hit a timing attack in the near future, but Disruptors on the way for StarDuck now, 2 at a time, and I love the DT blink. I'm on the left, warping in lots of Zealots, ready for a counterattack. And this is really good setup. I mean, StarDuck is doing a lot, dude. A lot of players would just, like I said, gas out trying to kill the opponent. StarDuck's looked for the opportunities, hasn't found it, but he's going to the next step. He's equal in workers. He's a little behind in the Disruptor production, but he's got all the map control.
Yeah.
Probe isn't able to chip away at him with those Disruptors right now. StarDuck's got plenty of space to work with. And I think with the quicker 5th base, he's actually still doing completely fine. This is a very even game, and this is very impressive to see out of our newcomer.
Yeah, he's going to the late game in style here against Probe, who's historically been stronger than everyone else in this region in that late game, sending forward those Disruption Novas. I mean, there is the huge Disruptor advantage here for Probe, but of course, a couple good Novas from StarDuck. If he can hit the middle of the pack there and take those Disruptors away from Probe, then StarDuck's going to have the better army all of a sudden, just at the drop of a hat like that. We do have Shadow Stride for both players. Both of them heading towards +3 attacks, so upgrade advantage is going to be taken away. Going to be very similar upgrades, very similar technology from here on out from both players.
Big attack in the top left. 3 cannons and a battery ready, so if he has a warp in ready, he can defend it. But that is a big if. If those guys happen to come in, he doesn't have a warp in, he might have to recall to defend it. A single Disruptor working its way up to the top left of the map. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And Probe here pushing on forwards. There's still not many Disruptors for StarDuck. That one Disruptor is incredibly valuable.
It is indeed. It gets a Disruptor, actually, so a little bit of bowling event there from StarDuck goes his way. Probe attacks with his own charge lots, DTs, and Stalkers. StarDuck goes for the recall there, partial recall, sending in part of his army to defend that fringe nexus at the 5th base, up at like the 11 o'clock position, but still keeping the majority of his forces at that low ground base in the 4th sort of area. Now, this blink's good for Probe. That Prism's going to be denied. Good catch there from Probe. Good minimap awareness, and StarDuck's harassment denied completely.
Oh,
StarDuck, no! Oh, man. Just wrong place, wrong time. And he lost so many units there for free.
That's it. Probe here expertly taking map control off StarDuck, and we see what Disruptors do with map control. It means your opponent, to try and get back on the map, has to stumble into your vision, uses the Watchtower expertly. Probe lands a big hit. Now, StarDuck does defend the top left, and he's got a big economy, so it's not game over from just one big Disruptor shot. You need a lot more than that. And StarDuck's actually going to try and assert control over this area.
Yeah, sending his Disruption Novas, they whiff a little bit. This one's going to get a Disruptor. Nice catch there from StarDuck, but still more Disruptors where that came from Probe. This Nova's looking good. Gets another Disruptor. I thought he was going to get 2 or 3 there. But Probe, once again, keeps the front door clear of StarDuck. He ejects him from the premises and continues to pressure this base where StarDuck is running out of resources to actually defend.
Oh, StarDuck here does have a lot of money in the bank right now. Maybe his gateway count's just a little lower than he'd like it to be. But he's getting plasma shields, he's getting the observer speed as well, and yeah, only 8 gateways for StarDuck, so he's only got that kind of full 2-base production, despite being up on 5 bases. Good snipes there for Probe. The fact that Probe's controlling that left side of the map gives him a lot of just opportunities to land more of those big Disruptor shots, and oh, okay, rotates his army over. So it looks like Probe's grouping up on the right side. He's looking for those Disruptors.
Oh, that Nova does some damage. Probe coming in from the backside. Oh, lovely connection, getting a few of the Disruptors of StarDuck and a couple Stalkers in the retreat as well. Probe really winning the bowling war here with those Disruptors. These backside Disruptors do get exposed. They do get targeted down from StarDuck. He finds the Disruptors that are firing out the Nova and cancels it as well. Good catch from StarDuck. Definitely fighting fire with fire,
surrounded.
but oh, yes.
He's going to get surrounded, Maynard.
Absolutely
oh,
right.
no.
Oh, StarDuck, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Probe's coming in from every angle here. 270 degrees of Probe. And StarDuck has one avenue of retreat, and that is back to this fourth Nexus. Brings in even all the DTs from that base up at the 10 o'clock location. Looks like maybe StarDuck F2ing everything to the front lawn, realizing that this is the moment right here. He needs to take a really good fight or it's going to be all over. What a game one from StarDuck, but in the end, Probe, too strong.
Just expert control over the map there from Probe Maynard. Expert control, the way he up that army, brought his units from the left side, and he split and he used his rallying disruptors, his army kind of up to the north, and he almost lured StarDuck out into the open. And that was after StarDuck had map control all game long. When Probe took control of it, oh, he did a lot. His disruptors were epic.
Yeah, man. Oh, that got really explosive, literally and figuratively there for both players. But the takeaway mainly from that game number one is that StarDuck, I feel like, is even stronger. If he can keep playing this level, he's even stronger than what we saw in ANZ Champs. That was such a great, clean, impressive game one there from StarDuck. But unfortunately, in the end, like you said, that he's going to get gassed out by someone as good as Probe. But it took a lot longer than we thought.
Yeah, and it's like, did he even... I don't even feel like he gassed out so much as... It was just Probe was too much, right? It's like, man, it's like he went the full distance. I mean, this is 15 and a half minutes. I'm so blown away. I don't even have words, Maynard. I'm like, I really thought if he did get Probe, it'd be with some cheeky business. But I said either way, we'd be learning something about this player. The fact that he's confident enough to say, I'm just going to play the macro game. And he was looking for opportunities, but he was never overcommitting, and it takes a real poise to do that, to be constantly roaming around the map, going in the main of the prism, looking for the attacks on the left, on the right, the left, the right, and not just like throw your army away at some point. I was very impressed, and I think definitely super, earning a lot of fans out there and a lot of hype.
Yeah, well, you know what? I'd be pretty hyped if we get a tied series, but we're going to have to wait for game number two. Going to take a short break. When we return, though, StarDuck and Probe resumes. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back. Short break there, but we're going to get into Game 2 between StarDuck and Probe very shortly. And we do have an update from the B stream as well. Apparently, Ranger got 2-0'd by Mio Micah. So Ranger, who had a career best performance last season, unfortunately kind of unceremoniously excused from Group A, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, it's a rough turnaround, but I mean, it is what it is. We're seeing kind of why StarDuck has come out and looking so strong in this matchup. For those of who weren't watching his previous series, it's not like Ranger just had a rough time of it or anything like that. But
it was very close.
Yeah, man, these tournaments are brutal, dude. These tournaments are super brutal.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not really a participation award for these tournaments for StarCraft, especially this region. I mean, you do get the small amount of prize money, but everyone here in this 1v1 format is looking for numero uno. They want #1 spot. They want that seat in the season finals. They want those EPT points. They want that $3,000 for first place. And we're going to get right into Game 2, guys. The countdown is complete. Probe and StarDuck. Can the young kid StarDuck here, just a teenager, take on Probe, who has been dominant in this region for so many years? Now, it really is the narrative that we're looking at right now. And honestly, Game 1 is, as much as I'm fearing Probe here, and I'm favoring him still, Game 1 has convinced me that StarDuck is a lot more than a lot of people think. In the bottom right here from Legacy, it is the man in charge at the moment in the series. It is Probe.
And having a bit of a date with this man on Romanticide. Up here in the top left-hand side, it is StarDuck. Repping those cranky ducklings.
That's right. Now, if you're keeping an eye on things on the B stream as well, Group B is actually beginning as well. The Seether versus Azure, the TVT between two players, where Azure got a bit of an upset on Seether last time they played in the ANZ Champs. A bit of a rematch. It'll be a good time to see what those two heavyweights of the region and the two best Terrans in Australia are looking right now in form.
And looking pretty chill so far on the openings, and Probe has not brought out anything too fancy so far today. It's kind of looked like he's playing ladder games with just a few small adjustments here and there.
Yep. Both players just getting their Probe Scout off and going for the 2-gate opener. No one's doing anything wild at all. Now, obviously, when you look at these players, you're like, if someone's going to do something wild, it's probably going to be StarDuck. He's going to be the guy that's going to try and proxy something a little bit nuts. Did he try anything like that in his series against Ranger? I mean, obviously, we were casting through a good chunk of the best of 3 against StarDuck and Ranger, but Game 3, it looked like StarDuck was kind of the more macro defensive player.
Yeah, it seemed like in that game, at least, I only caught kind of the latter stages of some of the other games, so it was like, okay, cool, there's lots of fighting. I'm not sure how they got there. I think, to be a properly well-rounded PvP player, you've got to have aggressive builds up your sleeve, and honestly, you should probably use them a lot more than some players do. If I look at whoever's dominating the matchup at any one time, the only player who I've ever seen look astoundingly good and on another level to his opponents without being aggressive was Estrella in the last year and a half, right? Go back about a year, and I really feel almost no one could match Estrella in PvP. His first 5-7 minutes of the game especially. But it was all just getting expansions up and defending them better than anyone else for the most part, right? Normally, we see Zest, we see Parting. These are the sort of guys dominating the matchup. And they do a ton of one-base builds. They spam one-base builds like crazy. I guess Trap is the other example of someone who's a really dominant, very defensively focused player right now, right? But other than, and he's in the GSL finals, so definitely can't hate on it. But it's a rare breed that consistently pull off defensive plays in this matchup.
And you are not wrong, but Probe is starting things off a little bit differently along with StarDuck here. They're not going right into Twilight Council and going for the Blink Forge +1 transition. It is actually directly into Stargates to start things off for both of them. So it's interesting how they've had mirrored, build order choices on these two maps so far.
Surely this is not a 3-gate attack from Probe, is it? His Nexus is so late. But it finally does go down, I guess, right now. Yeah, 3 minutes 30. That's not an early one at all. StarDuck's getting his up much faster, but Probe's got the 2 adepts, as well as the Oracle coming across the map pretty fast. And, Well, whenever I see that set of units, I'm always like, well, this could get shut down and do nothing, or this could kill 12 probes and win the game. Is there a shield battery in the main? There is one in the natural, one in the main, so I think StarDuck's pretty safe.
Yeah, and he's got 3 Stalkers ready as well, so I wouldn't be surprised at all if Probe just cancel the Shade and try it differently. But no, he goes for the dive here. And he actually does find a couple Probe kills. Loses the other Adept, so unfortunately without her sister, she can't one-shot Probes anymore. Speaking of, we do have the Oracle attempting to get some revenge damage there. I mean, 2 Adepts for 3 Probe kills, not really great. He does get, not a great trade for Probe, but he does get a little bit of scouting information as well, I suppose.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, this allows both players to just go up to Blink, but the second Oracle, a little bit of a gamble. It's a big investment, but it means you can ignore the shield batteries. StarDuck needs to have his units ready in both mineral lines, or this can stack up.
You are quite correct. He's got those Stalkers ready. But of course, you can kind of disrespect the Stalkers, fly straight past them and just target those probes and go into a tour of the main base as well. In comes Probe for exactly that, gets one probe, snaps it, and just pulls back, dropping the Revelation on their Stalkers. And both players getting their Twilight Council follow-ups as well, so it looks like Blink next up here. And there we go, starting up for Probe there for StarDuck. And StarDuck also with 2 Oracles here. Really similar choices from both sides. So, not respecting the Stalkers as much. There's only 2 here. StarDuck dives. He's going to lose 1 Oracle, though. Getting 5 probes, not bad, but losing the Oracle does sting a bit. Probe still has 2 alive.
Oh, nice micro from Probe. Keeps both of them alive for now. So he's got that threat still present. Whereas now that one of the Oracles has gone down for StarDuck, he can't really bust through a mineral line anymore. Not with shield batteries around. And the Oracle's going to play taggy tag, which is always nice to keep track of where the other ones are.
Yeah, getting the Revelation on your opponent's Oracles is quite nice. Not going to get caught in the mineral lines anymore. Stop Forge is a little bit faster here for StarDuck to go for the +1 attack. And Probe is just gearing up for the next phase of the mid-game here. You know, we're switching out of Stargate into a ground army, but without a Forge. Kind of leads me to believe that he wants to maybe just go for a 3rd Nexus and push behind it. At the moment, he does have his army moving out here.
Well, it's a lot of Stalkers coming out for Probe. He's probing up behind it. Forge, of course, is finishing up for StarDuck. His Blinks later. StarDuck needs to get out of here. Get back to the batteries quick, fast, mate.
Oh, meanwhile, the Oracles are here, and StarDuck seems to have forgotten about them. He got that Revelation on them thinking he was safe, but as the Stalkers moved out, the Oracles will come to play. And, oh, man, that is some nasty probe damage right there. The other Oracle, I think, ran out of juice, so couldn't go for the double beam. But 5 probes, and those Oracles are still alive. That's very annoying for StarDuck.
That's the danger, letting those Oracles stay alive. You really don't want to be leaving Stalkers in your base right now, but Probe, realizing he's got that threat alive, says, hey, if my Stalkers are down here, you know, he can't defend both places at once, and with a much later 3rd only now starting. But I think he's about to wipe StarDuck's 3rd off the face of the map, and that'll be a huge win.
Yeah, that's a very rough start if that Nexus goes down. Blink is done for both players, obviously, but yeah, that Nexus is taking so much of a beating. There's no static defense here, no pylons to warp in, no shield batteries to fight next to. Probe shows up with the 2 Oracles, and they're out of juice, so they actually don't pulsar beam anything down. They go down, but even with that bit of a blunder, losing those Oracles, getting the 3rd Nexus is absolutely massive. Huge blow there to StarDuck, who's also supply blocked on 70. Hasn't got any pylons on the way.
Yeah, needs that 3rd base down right now, but Probe is still the one with the superior number. That shield battery is very far back, so he's going to have to try and blink back his Stalkers to let that heal. Probe doesn't want to stay too long, but just one-shotting a Stalker before it can get healed, they're very nicely done. And this is Probe now asserting control over this matchup. He's got charge on the way. 3rd Nexus adding a few probes, but he's not going to let StarDuck out, and he's actually got so many Stalkers, batteries aren't going to make up for that difference. There's too much damage coming out of Probe.
Yeah, he's got way more Stalkers now. In comes out Immortal to come down and assist. No shield battery energy, but of course can still overcharge without energy to help out if he needs. Oh, Probe just jumps on the Immortal and pounces and takes it down. And, I mean, game 2, nowhere near as fun and as close as game 1.